The following video is an extract from an address by Dr. Liam Fox, the then Secretary of State for Defence, following the publication of the Strategic Defence and Security Review, or SDSR, in 2010. SDSR highlighted major cuts to funding for the UK Armed Forces to reduce the budget deficit and meet future requirements.
The government has made clear our determination to address the unprecedented fiscal deficit we inherited. The interest we will have to pay next year on the back of the national debt is £47 billion, nearly £10 billion more than the entire annual defence budget, and we will get absolutely nothing for it. The deficit must be tackled. Every department has to make its own contribution, and the MOD is no exception. Nevertheless, because of the priority we are placing on our national security relative to other departments, Defence is making a modest contribution to the deficit reduction strategy. But we also have to deal with the existing unfunded liability in the defence budget to the tune of some £38 billion over the next 10 years.
Since the publication of the Strategic Defence and Security Review, as well as the associated National Security Strategy, the UK Armed Forces has undergone dramatic change. As indicated by the then Secretary of State for Defence, this change has been forced by a requirement by the coalition government to reduce the budget deficit while also meet the UK's security requirements. The review sets a vision for 2020 that will see the Army lose 20,000 regular soldiers and the Royal Navy and Royal Air Force lose around 5,000 personnel. The civil service that supports all three armed forces will reduce by 25,000 posts by 2015. In addition to this, all three services were forced to make significant reductions to their equipment capabilities. The Army was told it would lose 40% of its main battle tanks, the Challenger 2, and its heavy artillery. The Royal Navy was told that it would still receive 2 new supercarriers, but would be required to decommission HMS Ark Royal early, meaning the UK would have no carrier strike capability until the introduction of the new carriers. The Royal Air Force was told to reduce its order of Typhoon fighter jets from 232 aircraft to 160. Furthermore, the RAF was also forced to withdraw its Sentinel R1 reconnaissance aircraft and the Harrier GR9. Liam Fox stated that these changes would still leave the UK with an effective, well-trained and capable armed forces. Within the armed forces, it was understood that any potential benefits from this change would need to be realised by increasing efficiency, consolidating core competencies and working more effectively with reservists and contractors. This was encompassed in a new defence vision designed to guide personnel through the transition period and ensure the armed forces in 2020 is an effective and capable force. These changes are significant and are forced upon the services. The armed forces therefore has to change. But why should the armed forces want to change? Take for example the Nimrod MRA-4. The MRA-4 was a replacement for the Nimrod MR-2, a maritime surveillance aircraft operating from RAF Kinloss in Scotland. The aircraft is designed to hunt submarines, assist in search and rescue, as well as deter aerial incursions in North Scotland, particularly by Russia. Originally called Nimrod 2000, the programme wasted £3.8 billion of taxpayer money and by 2010 was not even close to being finished. Though the airframes existed with most of their equipment installed, there were over 100 separate concerns over the aircraft's capability. Many of these were also safety related. For this reason, Dr. Liam Fox announced that the programme would be scrapped and the capability would be met by other platforms operated by the Royal Navy and Royal Air Force.
The MR2 aircraft were actually taken out in March 2010 by the previous government. The decision we took was on MRA-4, which was a programme that's now 10 years late, that's well over budget, and none of the aircraft had actually passed their flight tests. And there comes a point where you can't pour good money after bad.
Dr. Fox stated when questioned as to whether anyone would be held accountable for the failure in procurement and development that it was very difficult to find individuals accountable for large projects within the MOD, and the trail to anyone with any type of responsibility was long and complex. The future armed forces cannot afford to make such costly mistakes anymore. Perhaps, given the importance of defence over the past decades, senior officers, civil servants and contractors have felt their budgets were unlimited. Lack of accountability has made the problem worse, as there is not a strong incentive for performance to be effectively monitored. This is what is left of the Nimrod MRA-4 program. The aircraft close to completion, yet scrapped, and nearly £4 billion of taxpayers' money wasted. Another example of failure in procurement and project development is the Type 45 destroyer. Originally conceived during the Cold War, the project started life as a NATO collaboration to develop a general-purpose vessel for several nations. Unfortunately, different requirements among nations led to the UK and US pulling out of the project. The Defence Select Committee criticised the Ministry of Defence's unrealistic and over-optimistic assessments of costs and timescales to deliver what was a technically complex project. The department was also heavily criticised for entering into a fixed-price contract with BAE Systems. Adequate risk management at all stages of the project would have identified that costs were likely to rise. The project was re-evaluated in 2006 and a new contract was agreed that would deliver the project quickly with no further cost increases. Nevertheless, by the time the first ship was launched in 2009, the project was 2 years late and £1.5 billion over budget. In this example, there were clearly failures in the management of the project and the interaction of members of the armed forces with BAE Systems. Questions raised from this example are: how can the armed forces improve its dealings with the commercial sector? With no formal training in negotiating and finalising complex contracts, how can the armed forces hope to progress in the future? And what are the armed forces doing to improve in this area? A strategic vision has been set for improving the efficiency of the armed forces as all three services get smaller. Knowledge and understanding, however, needs to be developed, fostered and enhanced. Furthermore, it is clear that the armed forces cannot do this alone. There is an opportunity for the Ministry of Defence to initiate and develop its own organic consultancy team to capture best practice and disseminate across all three services as well as the civil service. The organisation would deliver cost savings by replacing the business improvement teams operating across the services. Furthermore, it would deliver a competitive advantage by working in partnership with business consultancies in the civilian sector. The organisation would prevent costly mistakes being made in the future by being run by officers and warrant officers likely to be posted into procurement or development jobs in the future. The application of the Defence Consultancy to several business scenarios can provide an indication of how the organisation could increase efficiency across the MOD. In this scenario, an Army staff officer working in procurement is currently working with a contractor who is providing a new range of vehicles. The officer wishes to have an understanding of what the contractor's legal obligations are. Defence Consultancy provides information regarding similar contracts signed in the past, including any relevant lessons that were learnt. The consultancy also contacts legal specialists with an understanding of contract law, either through civilian partners or through military lawyers who provide further guidance. Finally, the consultancy provides the staff officer with customer login information that allows further guidance to be provided through the interactive website. In the second scenario, an RAF officer is working with remotely piloted air systems and wishes to have an understanding of how a new system could be adapted to a unit currently operating a traditional airframe. The consultancy, through its retained knowledge, provides examples of new technology being applied within the Royal Air Force. It also utilises advice from its civilian partner on how to manage and implement change. As with the first example, advice and guidance is provided through the interactive website. Defence Consultancy would assist in the transition the armed forces are currently going through. The key benefits it would deliver would be a competitive advantage among other armed forces, but also other government departments. This would increase the legitimacy of the MOD and improve the prospects of securing funding in the future. It would increase overall efficiency. It would also allow the MOD to develop its personnel. Finally, its operation in the medium to long term would allow for the organisation to develop into a centre of excellence for the MOD. What this defence consultancy would offer is a way to capture the benefits of the planned and ongoing reductions in scale and offer a new way of thinking in line with the defence vision. This service would be offered through a website, a draft version of which is shown at www.defence-consultancy.co.uk. Please view the website to see how the defence consultancy could deliver to its customers. Please also view the conceptual presentation for further information regarding the project. Thank you.